It is November 2nd, 2019. We're here at 4982 Mount Ashmun Drive in San Diego, California, 92111. We're here in the kitchen, and we do have a newer plastic pipe that was installed in the wall with a clean-out plug right there. You can see above the drain. The pipe's here on slab, so we probably are going to transition back to cast iron. We'll find out here. The laundry is just on the other side of the kitchen wall here, so they intersect together relatively quick here. And we do have plastic pipes here, so some of this was changed out part of the way. And here's our cast iron going back into that. Now we made a couple little turns here for the angles that they were using to get back and tie back into the original part of the cast iron, so we may not be able to get our camera out very far on here. You're already kind of binding up. We're going to go ahead and run some cold water through the system and see if this can help get the camera through this turn and farther out down the system. We don't normally try to get through all the kitchen lines. We're here to really inspect the sewer, but if we have access and can get the camera through, we will give an attempt to do that. We're using a small camera, less than 1 inch in diameter, to get through this, but as you can see, we're not going to be able to make that second turn right here. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so we moved over to the rooftop of the house. We're now right above the kitchen and laundry. So here's our kitchen vent, which has been replaced with newer plastic ABS, like under the sink. Then we have our original, as you can see again, they were side by side with each other. Here is the vent for the laundry. So we're going to go down this laundry vent, see if it's still connected, and if we can get through the kitchen and laundry drain. We have a very small camera here. It's actually only 5/8 in diameter, smaller than the one we started with through the kitchen. See if we can get through this 2-inch piping. Here we have some buildup on a turn, it looks like. So I'm not sure if we're going to make it through this connection. There is in the laundry a small clean out, not very accessible from under the standpipe trap area. So we do have a lot of buildup on this line right here that we cannot get through. Let's go back down one more time. Just wiped off our lens here. See if we can see. Here's where the laundry empties into the system. You can see right there. That's the T-junction. And as we continue down the line here, there's the clean out T right there. And then here's our turn on the system. Trying to go through here. We're able to push through this part of the way, but we're still binding up. So unless we can get some water down through there, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get through this part of the system or not. And again, this is going to have the original cast iron underground for the kitchen and laundry, so it's going to be a lot of buildup typically. So we're going to pause the video for 1 second. We'll put a little bit of water down the system, see if that helps clean this up and lets us get down the system. Okay, so we have water running through a hose through the standpipe of the laundry to try to get this cleaned up and see if it'll help get the camera through the system. So again, you can see the cold water running through the laundry drain line here. Whether it's a turn or some heavy buildup, it's not letting this small camera get through the line here. See, the water is draining down and out through the system. That we're binding up on the pipe here and not able to get through. So we have one other camera. We'll give it a shot really quick. Again, the water is draining through. It's not backing up, so the line is functional. But with just old 2-inch cast iron pipe, it's going to be pretty typical that the line is going to go ahead and be a little bit difficult for a camera to manually push through the system. So again, here's where the water is all coming in through the system. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we have a second small 5/8 inch camera, but with a little bit of stiffer push rod. So we're going to see, again, if this can maneuver through and inspect the kitchen and laundry drains here where they eventually connect into the main. So again, here's where the water is dumping into the system. We have it running continuously here to help clean out the image as best as it can, as well help push the camera possibly through the buildup here. Okay, so again, even this camera here with a lot stiffer push rod, having a little bit of difficulty, but we did make it through the system here. So we got through part of it, but right now we're hitting another, either a turn or some heavy buildup in the line. So we're not going to force this through again. We don't try to inspect all the kitchen lines because of that exact reason, that on an older system there's definitely going to be scale and buildup, food and debris, other stuff like that in the system. So it's not always going to be able to be inspected. So we're going to go ahead and shut the line off because we think it is partially backed up. Okay, so again, you can see we've shut off the water, and there's buildup of water in the system right now. So the kitchen and laundry line definitely needs to be snaked and cleared. It's holding water. There's just a lot of buildup from use and age of the system. So I'm sure there's probably not anything wrong with the piping, so I'm not saying it needs to be cambered again after it needs to be snaked, but at the bare minimum, the line needs to be snaked and cleaned out from either the laundry clean out that's under the trap, which isn't super accessible, or from this roof vent, because the kitchen clean out with the amount of turns it makes won't make it as easy. But we're going to go ahead now and pause and move over to inspect the main sewer system. Okay, so we moved over to the rooftop above the bathrooms. We have two vents here. We have the original 3-inch cast iron vent for the bathrooms that are back to back with each other, and we have an 1.5-inch vent over here which has a cap on it, so I'm not sure why it's been capped. All vents need to be open. Additionally, it's possible if the bathroom was remodeled at some time, which I'm sure it was, they might have moved the toilet instead of being back to back. So that pipe right there should be the vent for the toilet. Just as a note, it's required to be a 2-inch, and that's an 1.5-inch vent. So we're going to pull that cap off once we're done inspecting the main here and see what's going on with that. And we may have to inspect through the toilet bowl as well to see what they did as far as changing the plumbing. So here's the original 3-inch vent. So this is leading down to the very beginning of the sewer main. So right here you see, besides a bunch of bugs, we have the two T-junctions. It's a 4-way T. So to the right side is where the bathtub collects into this vent system, and then to the left is where the lavatory sinks collect into for this hall bath. Now again, this is back to back, so we have the vents are also being shared by the sinks that are in the master, his and hers, as well as the shower stall. So right here we have another T-junction that was put in, and it's again a 4-way T-junction. You can see on both sides openings. So that's how they tied in with a new T-junction for the vents for the remodeled bathroom. So now when we go down into the pipe here, you can see we have the original 4-way T-junction as well that picks up the toilets. So right here, the two toilets dump into this part of the system. So you are allowed to travel up to 8 feet, 12 feet, depending on the 3 or 4-inch size for the closet drain for the toilet before it collects the vent. So if they did shift everything over, it is still going to be okay to code. So that other vent that's capped on the roof is fine. That does not need to be for the toilet, because we did see this 4-way T-junction. If we didn't see that 4-way T-junction, then we'd have an issue. So right here is where the vertical is going to make its transition into the beginning of the sewer main horizontal line. So now we're in the original cast iron sewer main, leaving the bathrooms, headed towards the front of the house. Appears to be 3-inch in size, does not appear to be 4-inch. Okay, here we have a T-junction on the system, and this could be utilized where the kitchen and laundry are collecting off this right side, or it could just be that they use the T to actually make the turn. A lot of times, instead of using a 90 or a 45-degree elbow, they'll actually use a combo or a Y fitting to make the T, and then they cap off the other end of it or have it ready for a clean out. Now, we did not see any clean outs on the ground level exposed that we noticed, but we'll go ahead and continue through this turn right here. Okay, see, our camera actually flip-flopped and went through the back side there, so we can see that that's a capped off end to the line. So It's definitely not picking up the sewer main, the drain from the kitchen and laundry. It's just a T that they use again to make the turn. So we've now made that turn, and we're now headed out here. So far the cast iron is in good condition. A little bit of scale and buildup of deposits, but minimal. Everything still looks good on the system. For being the original pipe, nothing's needed as far as any repair, maintenance still at this point. Small turn on the system right there. Here we're coming up on the property line. So you can see right here, this is a T-junction. It goes vertically up. That's the property line clean out that was originally put in when they built the home. This is typically anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet on the average in front of the sidewalk across the front yard. So we're going to see if this is a full 90 or a 45-degree turn right here. If it's a full 90, we're going to have some difficulty getting a lot of our cameras down this 90-degree turn and continue all the way out to the city. So we made the first part of this 90 here. Now coming down that vertical, trying to make now the next horizontal. So here we have essentially two 90s within 2 feet of each other. So it's highly unlikely we're probably going to be able to get this camera past this point. But what we're going to do to give that a try is we're going to turn on all the water in the house. That can reduce the friction and aid help pushing through these turns. If not, we'll try one other camera that may be able to get through some of these turns possibly. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so you can see we have all the water running right now. So, trying to get the camera to push out farther down the system. We've made it a few inches, literally. We're pointing down this next horizontal run to go across. Now, typically, eventually, this cast iron will run for just a short distance and then turn into clay pipe, unless the city's relined theirs or put in some plastic green bell PVC pipe. So, even with all the water running, we can just past that second 90-degree turn, which is what we expected. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the camera back a few feet here, back to the property line clean out. While we have this camera in here, right here, again, that's the property line clean out. We're going to go ahead and locate and mark this in the front yard. We are going to try one more camera to see if we can maneuver through all these turns. But if we can't, we're not going to be able to inspect the rest of that line out, which is still the homeowner's responsibility. And so if it backs up, it's going to be difficult to clean the line out without possibly digging and extending this clean out. So we're going to pause the video to locate this. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this buried property line clean out. This horizontal pipe right here is just over 2 feet deep. It's about 26 inches deep, and we've marked the approximate location of that clean out vertical T-junction right where the camera was here. And the front yard, it's about 2.5 feet in front of the sidewalk. It's under the brown bark. Again, we have it marked with a green yellowish flag, and we marked it noting the property line clean out, PLCO, and the depth of 26 inches on that flag. So we're now going to go ahead and pause the video while you pull out this camera and try with the second camera to get through all these turns and out to the street. Okay, so we have our second camera pushed all the way out and just started running a bunch of water. We're essentially in the same position of making it through the 290s, but we're not sure if it's going to travel down there, and it certainly looks like it's just binding up at the bottom of the second 90, which is again right here. So we're still stuck where we can't get through there because again of the succession of two 90-degree elbows so quickly in conjunction with each other. So as we back up here again, up this vertical, here is the property line clean out that we just saw with the other camera that we located. So we have one more little trick we're going to go ahead and try to do with a third camera combined with another one taped together. try to push through this system. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so we want to show this third attempt. We are have water running again, and we are all the way to the property line clean out right here. So here's where we're going to be making our vertical downturn. So we have two cameras literally taped together essentially right now to try to give it some pushability to get through these turns. And as you can see, we are able to do it. So now we're kind of binding up here a little bit where the other camera is now trying to make that turn as well. So I don't know if we're going to get any further than this. We taped the camera about 10 feet approximately in front of the other one just to help push through there. But it's kind of stalling, so now the second camera is trying to make that turn again. But we did get past most of the cast iron. I believe we got to the clay junction, so we're going to pause the video and shut the water off. Okay, so you can see we've stopped the water. We've got a little bit of residual still just coming down the line. So we're at a clay-to-clay hub here. We are in the 4-inch clay hub. This is not a self-leveling camera, so you can see that on the top left of the screen is where the water is running by. That's the bottom of the pipe. So on the upper vertically top of the pipe, a little bit of debris right there, but I can't say if that's roots or not. They're so tiny and so small. Again, we can't get out any further right here. So now we're going to pull back on the line, see if we pass through any kind of issues. It does look like those might be the beginning of some small roots trying to grow into the system. So we pull back here, see if we find anything else on the piping. There's a clay-to-clay hub right there. Let's see. There's a hub right there. So there's some buildup right there. Looks like we've got some small roots growing in the pipe right there at that one little hub there. Again, on the upper, what would be the upper left of the pipe, because the top of the screen is the bottom. And as we come back up right here, here's where the cast iron is transitioned. So we cannot get farther down the line, but it does appear we've got some very small root intrusions in the line. Now, we're going to try to move our camera back a little bit further and see if we can get pushed out a little bit further one more time, since now we've got a little bit of a concern here with some very small root intrusions. So the property line clean out that we've marked, we are going to 100% recommend that be brought to surface so that this line can be maintained in the future. It's not going to need to be dug up and repaired, but these roots over time need to be treated with a foaming chemical treatment called Root-X or Robic foaming root killer, and or they're going to need to be either hydrojetted or preferably even snaked with a chain knocker system, a little less expensive than hydrojetting. So we're going to pull back out here. So again, here's the cast iron short run going across here. And now we're coming back up that vertical here. And here's our 90-degree turn right there as well for that property line clean out that we've marked. So we're going to pause the video and pull back out. Okay, so we got our camera out a little bit further by moving it back with the two in succession with each other. So we pushed out it again as far as we could with this combination, which is farther than previous. We've stopped the water, it's just trickling by right now. Now we'll pull the camera back and see if there's anything else on the system that we couldn't see the first time. Okay, so there you can see there's a little bit of roots right there. So again, we have a couple more junctions till we get all the way out to the city, possibly 3 or 4 more. So they're very minor root intrusions, but they're there. So again, they're going to need to be maintained over time. There's that little tiny one that we saw the first time that we were just getting up to. So that is a super small one, but again, it's the beginning of them. So we've already seen that. Here's the other little bit of roots right there on the top of the screen of that hub. And it's possible these have been cleaned out before. Maybe somebody's hydrojetted or cleaned out these roots, I don't know, or they're just starting to grow into the system. And again, here's that larger one. Not very large, but a little bit bigger than the other ones. It's getting in as well. So now we're back into the cast iron again. So we only made it about another 8 feet out or so, but it did show conclusively that we do have those very small root intrusions starting in the clay. So we'll go ahead and pull the camera out the rest of the way here now. And so again, as we come back up right here, we're going to mention it one last time. This is the property line clean out. This is marked in the front yard with the flag. The pipe is 26 inches deep, and it's about 30 inches in front of the sidewalk. So this does need to be brought to surface so that the homeowner and or a plumber can maintain those roots with the foaming chemical, and on occasion it may eventually need to be hydrojetted or snaked out to clean them out if that's not done, to keep the line free and clear of having any stoppages. And so the rest of the main is in good condition, doesn't need any repair or maintenance or any type of replacement, other than the kitchen and laundry line again does need to be snaked and cleaned out right now. And that concludes the recording for this property.